This is Matt at Dark Side Pool again. In this video, I'm going to show you how to change the Q-tip. A lot of people don't like doing this themselves. It's not that difficult if you're careful and you just follow a few little basic guidelines. I'm no expert, I'm just going to show you how to do it myself. And yes, I know I need a new ferrule on my Q as well. You'll probably notice it does look a bit scratched, and to be honest it is. And the reason I'm changing this tip, I don't know if anybody was watching, but in the video I did the other day, the Corey Jewel power draw shot recreation, I was struggling to do it with this tip, so I actually changed my shaft over and used the other one instead. This shaft is an old original Z shaft, and you can see how old it is because the logo's wearing off it, you can see there. But just let me show you the tip on this Q. There's hardly a tip on it, to be honest. So yes, it does need a change pretty drastically, to be honest. Now, the tip I'm going to go with, I've actually got a Kamui tip. It is a hard one, which is what I had on previously. There you go, you can see it there. Now, one thing to make sure as well, when you buy in Q-tips, make sure you get original ones. There are a lot of fake ones out there on the internet. Just be careful what you buy, and you can tell a good quality tip as well. I mean, just generally by the look of it and the feel, the print as well, of the quality of the print on the tip itself, and also by the layers. If you look carefully at the layers of the tip, if it is a laminated tip, you'll see the better quality tips. Obviously, they are a better quality, they'll look a better quality. Now, there is a little sticker as well on the side of this one. I don't know if you can just see that. See there, it's just got a serial number on it, just about see it. That also can tell you it's a genuine tip as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started. I'm going to take this little sticker off because we don't need that on. Just get that off and get it off, and then we can get started. There we go. So got it off. Now, obviously with these tips as well, you'll see that it does tell you which side to put the glue on, and we'll come on to that in a minute. Now, obviously, when you are changing a tip, one of the good things you're going to need as well is some good quality tools. Now, I've already borrowed some off one of my mates, a very good snooker player. This is his little magic case of stuff to change tips with, and believe it or not, this stuff in this case, he's actually done a few professional snooker players' tips as well. So I'm going to use it again. I borrowed it from the last time. So in this case, just going to show you a few of the tools. Now, one of them, got a good quality blade, of course, because we're going to need to cut the old tip off. Watch your fingers. Obviously got some good quality super glue, what we've got Loctite in this case, and I think it's the gel one. This is actually the gel super glue. Some people use the gel, some people don't. As long as you've got a good quality glue, that's probably going to be good enough for you. Certainly good enough for me anyway. And I think this is the one I used last time I did the tip as well. Just on that, to be honest, the last time I changed this tip, it was probably about 8 months ago, and it was a Kamui hard tip as well. So just look how that's worn down over the period, I think about 8 months or so. Maybe it's the chalk, I don't know, who knows. Masters chalk is the one I've been using. So going on to the tools, we've got a basic shaper there. I'm not sure if I'm going to use that or not yet. I have got the old ultimate tip tool, which I'm sure a lot of you have probably got as well. Also got some sandpaper, I think that's 100. But yeah, so I probably won't use that, to be honest, put it to one side. One of the most important tools you're going to need is something like this. Now, it's pretty much a big pencil sharpener, to be honest, and it's that big that it will actually fit the tip in as well, which is really important, as you'll see in a moment. So I'm going to use that. We've got some other little tools as well. Now, I'm just going to show you these. These are actually designed for snooker Q-tips when you're doing them, and you can see they're actually called the GM tip trimmers. And inside, if I can get it open, let me see. You have to, oh, there we go. Slide it off. They're actually really sharp blades in there, as you can just about see that. We might use some of those as well a bit later on to trim off the edge of the tip. And there's another sharpener device there with the blade in, which you can put the tip in and just gently turn it around just to file it around a little bit more level at the sides as well. And that's pretty much it for the tools. So I'll chuck that to one side. like I say, one of the other things, well, some people like to put a bit of masking tape around the ferrule. To be honest, I'm not that bothered in this case. I know the ferrule needs replacing anyway, which I will get done at some point. And to be fair, if you get a little bit of glue on the side of the ferrule, it's not that difficult to get it off anyway. And I'll probably show you that if I do get a little bit on. But like I say, I'm no expert at doing this. I'm just giving you some guidelines of what I do when I'm changing my tip. Obviously, if you want it done professionally, go and pay someone professionally to do it. So first thing, obviously, you're going to cut the tip off. I've just got a little bit of paper on the table here. I don't want to scratch my table. So there's just, obviously, as carefully as you can. Now we'll see how good this gel glue is from last time, to be honest, because that's what I used. I don't even know if this knife's that sharp, to be honest. Is there another blade in there? I'm sure I had a better knife than this the last time he gave it me. Maybe, oh, that's why. I'm using the wrong blade. Great start. That's the blade I wanted, not the other one. So that is obviously a Stanley knife blade, which, you know, can get much sharper than one of them, but you're probably looking at surgical stuff. So nice thin blade, obviously really carefully. Just going to slide through the tip there. And there you go. And you just heard that now. Look how small that tip is. Look at the size of that. I was actually playing matches and winning matches, believe it or not, with that tip. Not much meat on that one. I mean, look at it compared to the size. Compared to the size of the, look at the difference there. Anyway, you can still see the writing as well on the tip where it says glue. That's how well I've cut that off. So one thing you're going to want to do is, obviously, when you cut the tip off, just inspect the edge of the ferrule. Obviously you don't want any debris or anything on there. You want to make it as smooth as possible, so when you stick the new tip on, it's going to be nice and flush. So I'm just going to have a quick look at that. Now you might need to just gently scrape off some of the excess wood from the previous tip, which is what I'm just going to do here. There's not much there, to be honest. I did a good job of cutting it off. But if you just get the sandpaper and just sand it slightly as well on the top of the ferrule there, just to make sure you've got every last bit off. Now you might want to use some finer sandpaper. I'm just going to be very gentle. I've got some gritty stuff. It's actually 100, the 100 grit here. I'm just going to be very gentle with this. I'm not going to rag it off so much so it's not going to rough it up too much. I'm just getting rid of that excess, the excess bit of wood there on the top of the tip. Still a tiny little bit more I can see, so I'm just going to scrape that gently. I think that's nearly there. Yep, just give it a little once over again with the sandpaper. Let's have a look at that. So you can see there, it's not too bad there, so I'm quite happy with that. Now, one of the other things, obviously, what you want to do now is you're going to get the tip and just place it on the ferrule, just to make sure that it is going to be sitting level with the ferrule and there's no gaps, or it's not over, you know, it's not leaning in any way. There's nothing worse than, you know, sticking the tip on and it's all wonky. It's not going to be, it's not flat on the ferrule. Now the tip, of course, you'd like to think that is going to be pretty flat when you get it. And there's not going to be any irregularities. So just looking at that, I can see that that is, yeah, there's going to be no problem with that at all. Now, one of the things with tips as well, this is Z shaft, one of the very older ones, the originals. I think these are 11 3/4. When they first came out, I think this one is as well. I haven't got any calipers to measure it. But when you're ordering a tip, don't get exactly the right size, of course, for your ferrule, unless you're really professional and you can be confident that you're going to stick it on exactly. Obviously, if you order a slightly larger one, you've got a little bit of overhang to play with there when you're sticking it on, and then you can shape it around after. So I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do is obviously I'm going to stick this on, and then we're going to carry on, and then we're going to shape it off. Now, just before we stick the tip on, I am going to just lightly rough the bottom of the tip up slightly, just to give it a bit more adhesion when the glue sticks to it, so it's not a totally smooth surface on a smooth surface. I'm just going to very slightly, just really slightly just loosen it up. Some people like to put the glue on both surfaces, the tip and the ferrule. Personally, I'm just going to put it on the ferrule, and I'm just going to put a little bit on and I'm going to spread it out. And with this being a gel glue as well, it's pretty good because it doesn't tend to run everywhere. So I'm just going to do that. Oh, just be careful. So I'm just going to spread it out across the ferrule so it's nice and even. Put that to one side, get the tip, and we're just going to stick it on. Now you will get a few seconds, of course, that you can line it up, which is what I'm doing there. And then once you're happy, you can obviously just press it down firmly. Now some people will use a tip clamp to do this, hold it in place, but to be honest, super glue is that good, it just goes off straight away anyway, within about 20 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute. So if you can be bothered to hold your finger down with the pressure on it for that period of time, which is what I'm going to do, that's going to be absolutely fine. The most important thing is that you've got it quite even on the middle of the ferrule, and there's, you know, not one side's overhanging significantly more than the other side. Now you will get a slight bulge of the super glue coming out at the side of the tip, which might even come onto the ferrule slightly. As I said, I'm not too worried about that because it is fairly easy to scrape it off after, as long as you've got the right tools, of course. And then, let's say some people will put masking tape on the ferrule, which is something I don't do. You know, if you get the super glue on the masking tape, it can be even more of a nightmare to get it off the ferrule as well. You know, you don't want to stick masking tape onto your ferrule. Or maybe you do, I don't know. So that's been about 30 seconds, I think, there. So I'm just gonna probably see my finger going white here because I'm holding it on that much. I mean, some people, they'll turn the cue upside down as well. They'll keep the tip against the floor and put the pressure down on it gently that way, but however you want to do it, the main point is, you know, the super glue is going to go off. Now some people as well, they might cut the tip in half prior to sticking it on in the first place, so there's nothing wrong with doing that. I mean, it's personal preference. I always find it easier to cut it in half once it's stuck on, or cut it down with the blade once it's stuck on the tip. And we'll probably do that as well once we've got it all stuck. So there we go. So as you can see, that is well and truly stuck on there, and it's fairly even as well. And like I say, yes, I know I need a new ferrule, but I'm not putting one of those on myself. Now that tip is well and truly stuck on there, the glue's dried, I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to cut the tip down to roughly a kind of height that I'd like it to be at when I'm playing, maybe a fraction higher, and then obviously you can sand it down a little bit more to that height, but there's no way I'm sanding the tip down that's that high already. I'll be there all night sanding that down, so I'm just going to cut it slightly down in size. So again, you need that really sharp blade, which I'm going to use again just to take that down roughly to where I think. So again, just being really careful. Now you can use the layers in the tip as a guide if you want to. I mean, some people, they might just prefer to play 4 layers, 3 layers, 5 layers, whatever. That's up to you, as long as you're cutting it down and you're not cutting it too low, of course, and then you're going to need a new tip. So just whatever you're comfortable with. So I'm leaving about 4 layers visible. Now I've cut it down. You can see there I've took a significant amount off the tip. I'm not too worried whether it was slightly at an angle as I've cut it, because I'll be able to shape that off again in a minute anyway. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to use the bigger pencil sharpener kind of tool, and then I'm going to just gently start taking off around the sides of the tip. Obviously we're not going to go right to the ferrule. I'm just going to gently take away the sides. So let's just do this. Now the secret to this is you're doing a little bit at a time. You're not trying to put it in all the way and then turn it. You take a little bit and you start working your way lower down. So just, you can just see, just ever so slightly, just little bits at a time. And you can see the little bits coming out of the top there, and you're just doing little bits at a time. The other advantage you use in a tool like this is you can do it really gradually as you're going around the tip. Just take your time with it. Like I say, some people, they like to use a blade, and they'll turn the tip upside down or the tip upside down, and they'll chop the excess off with the blade that way. You know, if you've got one of these tools, you don't need to do it. Just use one of these. Do it gradually, take your time. And as you can see, I mean, I've started to get down on this one. So I'm just going to carry on, take it down as far as I can with this tool, and then we'll move on to the next tool. Now I've gone pretty far, as much as I can go with the larger pencil sharpener. You can see on there, that's pretty close to the ferrule, to be honest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the next tool, which is more of a fine tuning tool. Same way again, I'm just going to put it in really gently, just the same thing again, just taking a shave fraction just off the sides, and this tool gets you, well, lets you get a lot more closer than the other tool gets. So I'm just going to carry on with this one, just take it down a little bit more, just so I've got it. I mean, to be honest, it's not far off anyway, but I'm just going to take it down slightly more with this one, and then we're going to move on to the next stage. Now, as you can see by all the little bits on the table here, I've finally got my way right down. Just have a look at that. So you can see that is nice and level with the ferrule. You know, it's pretty flush there. Just using those tools, taking your time, a little bit at a time, just being gentle and just gradually working your way down, taking it down level to the ferrule. Also with the sides of the ferrule, of course. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to use the tip tool. I'm just going to start shaping the top of the tip. Now you can do it however you want, really. I mean, as long as you're being careful and you're not really putting too much pressure down. You don't want to run the risk of, you know, making the Q-tip weaken, you know, not fall off, but loosen it off. Not that it should anyway. I mean, if you use a good quality glue. So I'm just going to use this one. I'm going to use a default template in there because it is quite good. So basically, you know, whichever way you want to do this, I mean, the best way is you put this on the floor, of course, you put your Q-tip in it, and then you gently, you know, like as if you're lighting a fire or something. Gently do it that way, or however else you want to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start shaping this up, and then we're going to come back in a moment and see how we've been getting on. Now, as you can see by all the bits on the table here, I'm pretty much there with it. You can see there's the sort of final sanded shape. Obviously I've used the ultimate tip tool. I've also used some sandpaper as well, just to get a nicer shape on the top of the tip that I'm used to. And I've also just gone slightly around the edges again with the sharpener tool, just to remove any final excess pieces and bring it level with the sides of the ferrule as well. And as you can see there, that's pretty good, to be honest. So what I'm going to do now is, as some people like to do, they call it burnishing the tip. All that is getting something, a piece of leather usually. I'll use the back of my belt. I'm just going to rub it on the side of the tip, and what that does is it makes it harder and stops it from ballooning out over time. Obviously this tip is a hard tip anyway, so it shouldn't really do that a whole lot anyway, although it will do slightly, of course, over time. So I'm just going to do that, get the back of my belt. I'm going to use the friction to heat the side of the tip up, and I'll show you again in a moment what sort of effect that has on the tip as well. Now, I've used the back of my belt, as I said I would do, to burnish the sides of the tip. So I've just placed it on the tip and went around the side of it, backwards and forwards. Obviously the friction heats up the side of the tip, and as what we call burnishes the tip. And as you can see there, you can see the sides of the tip have gone shiny, because it's obviously gone harder there. And to be honest, I think I'm quite happy with that, to be honest. I think that's pretty much ready now to play with. Hopefully I'll be able to take a few more tournaments down with that tip, and maybe execute a few more trick shots as well on some of the other videos that we can do for you. But yeah, look, give it a try. You know, as I say, you don't have to spend a fortune getting someone professional to do your tip. You can if you want, of course, if you've got the money. But if you want to have a go at it yourself, it's not that difficult, as long as you've got the right tools. And as I've said, the biggest tool really for me, part of this, is this sort of pencil sharpener device. Like I say, just put it in, take your time with it, a little bit at a time. You don't need to go mad, don't go crazy. Use the fine tuning one as well. That's certainly useful as well once you've got it down to shape. Obviously you can use whatever tip tool you want to do the shaping and the sanding to finally get the tip how you want to get it. And then once you've done that, burnish the sides and go and start taking some tournaments down, guys. So give it a try, and we'll see you on the next video.